Welcome to Science for Sleep, a quiet place where science whispers, not shouts, where each night your mind is gently guided through wonder, wrapped in calm, curiosity, and comfort. Tonight, you're invited on a journey, not into the stars above, but into the universe within, your brain. This episode is about neuroplasticity, a quiet miracle happening inside you all the time. It's the way your brain reshapes itself, thought by thought, breath by breath. How habits form, how healing begins, and how you are never truly stuck. In this soft story, you'll learn how neurons grow like branches, how memories shift like streams, and how even rest rewires your inner world. So lie back, let your breath slow down, let your thoughts float like leaves on a river, and let science soothe you into sleep. Chapter 1, A Forest of Thought. Close your eyes. Let the world grow quiet. Beneath your thoughts, beneath the surface of your waking day, something deeper stirs. It hums and flickers, just beneath your awareness, like wind weaving through tall grass. That is your mind, and it is not a machine. It is a forest. Imagine it now, not made of steel or wires, but soft roots and curling branches. This is a living place, wild and intricate. Each tree is a neuron, each leaf a memory, and the paths that twist between them. Those are your thoughts. Some trails are well worn, like the ones you take each day when brushing your teeth, remembering your name, or reaching for familiar comforts. Others are still new, like fresh footprints in dew-covered moss. These are the paths of new ideas, uncertain and tender. Every time you think, something moves inside the forest. A signal flickers from tree to tree, not in words, but in light, not in noise, but in spark. This is a neuron firing, a message carried through branches, whispered across vast distances in an instant. Now imagine this. Each time that spark takes the same route, the soil beneath that path becomes more solid, more known, more real. The trail becomes easier to walk. This is how habits form. The more a thought is repeated, the more it etches itself into the forest floor. But the forest isn't fixed. It isn't frozen in time. If you stop walking a trail, nature begins to reclaim it. Moss creeps in, branches droop low, the path becomes soft again, forgotten. This is how change happens, too. What you don't revisit slowly fades, making space for new trails to grow. This is the beginning of neuroplasticity, the ability of your brain to reshape itself based on where you walk most. It isn't forced. It isn't loud. It happens gently, slowly, over time, like seasons shifting or vines climbing toward the sun. Picture the sunlight breaking through the canopy, landing on a quiet patch of forest floor. That light is your attention. Wherever it falls, the forest responds. Trees bend toward it. Flowers bloom there. Growth follows the gaze of your focus. Even now, as you listen and drift, your attention touches these words. And somewhere in the quiet woods of your mind, a tiny shoot pushes upward, sensing the warmth. Some parts of the forest are ancient. These are the trails passed down through generations. The instinct to flinch, the rhythm of your breath, the subtle awareness of another's gaze. These patterns are deep and primal, rooted in the oldest soil. But surrounding them are your own creations. Paths you made through learning, through trying, through pain, through joy. These aren't random. They are yours. And they change even now. There is something comforting about knowing your brain grows as you do. Not all at once, but bit by bit. Each time you practice kindness, a trail deepens. Each time you catch your breath before reacting, a new clearing opens. Change, you see, is not about effort alone. It's about where you place your steps. Your choices shape the forest, even the small ones. Especially the small ones. This forest grows even in sleep. In fact, during deep rest, your brain reviews the trails you walked today. It gently prunes what is no longer needed, like a gardener clipping branches. And it strengthens the paths you used the most, packing them with soft soil and strong roots. So if you've ever felt stuck, know this: the forest never stops growing. Even a single new step begins a trail. Even one spark lights a branch. And even now, in this stillness, the trees are listening. Some paths may feel dark or tangled. That's okay. Forests are not always tidy. Healing isn't a clearing, it's a winding return. With time and care, even the most overgrown places can bloom again. Notice how this vision of your brain feels. Not mechanical, but alive. Not rigid, but responsive. And in that awareness, something soft opens. A new respect for the hidden work happening inside you. There's a kind of peace in knowing you are not broken, only branching. That you are not stuck, only paused. That your mind, like the forest, knows how to find light, even in shadow. And just as every forest has rivers running through it, your thoughts, too, begin to flow. This movement matters, because where you flow most becomes who you are becoming. Now listen, the wind stirs the branches. A spark dances between leaves. A trail brightens beneath your feet. You are not watching this forest from afar. You are walking through it. And with each breath, each thought, you guide its growth. Let this be your beginning. A slow entrance into the forest of your mind. There is so much to explore, so much to feel, so much still blooming. And in the next chapter, you will see how the paths you walk most become part of your rhythm, and how every choice leaves a quiet footprint in the soil. Chapter 2. The pathways you walk most. Your mind is a landscape of living paths. Every thought you think, every action you repeat, presses softly into the earth of your brain. And each time you return to it, the path becomes just a little easier to find, just a little smoother, just a little more yours. Neuroscientists call these pathways neural circuits. But tonight, you can think of them as trails through a forest. Some are well-trodden, wide enough for a caravan of thoughts. Others are faint, maybe glimpses of a trail that might become something more, if only you followed it again. When you do something again and again, brushing your teeth with one hand, reaching for the same kind of snack, flinching at the same memory, your brain wires that behavior more deeply. Neurons that fire together wire together. This is Hebbian theory, named after the scientist who described it. But you don't need the name to feel the truth of it. Repetition carves grooves. Like rainwater that finds a downhill path and returns to it, again and again, until a river is born. You felt this before. The way a melody gets stuck in your head. The way one worry becomes 100. Or the way a gentle ritual, like lighting a candle or taking a breath, eventually calms you without effort. You are not just thinking, you are building trails. And just like in nature, the more a trail is used, the easier it is to follow. Your brain becomes efficient. It wants to help you. It says, I know this one. I'll lay it out faster next time. That's why habits can feel so automatic. Not because they are destiny, but because they are pathways. And the ones you walk most often become the ones that walk you. Imagine now the well-worn trail of anxiety, if it's one you know. You didn't choose it on purpose, but maybe it was there when you needed protection. A quick exit, a watchful glance. You walked it often. It kept you safe. But now, maybe it feels like the only path. Even when you're not in danger, your mind might return there. Out of routine, out of the brain's quiet love of efficiency. This is not weakness. It's wiring. And wiring can be rewritten. New pathways can grow. Picture a footpath through grass, one that veers gently towards stillness. At first, it feels strange to walk that way. Your steps are uncertain. The grass is tall. It brushes your knees. But the second time, it's easier. And the third time, easier still. Eventually, the old trail, the one paved with fear or noise, starts to fade. Grass returns. The forest begins to heal. Your brain, too, can rewild itself. This is the science of neuroplasticity, the truth that your mind can reshape its pathways, not in an instant, but in gentle repetition. You are always practicing something, whether you mean to or not. Each time you return to a thought, to a posture, to a story you tell yourself, you're walking that trail again. The brain responds. It strengthens what you return to. This is why it's not about erasing the old. It's about choosing the new again and again until it's no longer new, until it is yours. Close your eyes now. Imagine your thoughts like hikers in the woods. Where do they tend to go when you're not watching? Which trails are smooth and which are barely there? Maybe there's one that circles around judgment, another that climbs a hill of comparison. But perhaps, too, there's a path that moves through still water, a place of breath, of warmth, of enoughness. Even if it's faint, it's there. And tonight, you get to step on it again. There's a kind of magic in knowing that you are not fixed. You are the forest and the path maker. You are both the traveler and the trail. In every small choice, to pause, to breathe, to return, you strengthen something invisible. A circuit, a current, a kind of invisible path through your very being. And the more you return to calm, to compassion, to curiosity, the more they return to you. Because that's how pathways work. They hold your footprints. And if you walk with love, they remember it. This doesn't mean forcing joy or pretending everything is fine. It means gently choosing which path you'd like to visit next, and doing it with kindness, even if your knees wobble, even if you get turned around. The forest of your mind is patient. It does not rush you. It simply responds. So tonight, you rest knowing you are not stuck. You are not broken. You are walking. And every step, no matter how small, is a direction, a message to your brain. Let's go this way now. Let's make something new. And tomorrow, your mind will remember. It will leave the faintest imprint of your choice. And that imprint will become a path. And that path will become you. Somewhere ahead, a soft rain begins to fall, not on the outside, but within. And what it touches will bloom, which leads us gently into how memory is formed, and how rain, even imaginary rain, can change the shape of the land. Chapter 3, Learning as Rainfall. You lie still now, body resting, breath soft and shallow. Around you, the silence deepens like twilight settling across the earth. In the space between waking and sleep, something else begins to stir, not loud or sudden, but slow, patient, and precise. A gentle mist falls. You do not see it, but you feel it, not on your skin, but somewhere deeper, like a cool idea sinking into warm earth. This is learning, not as force or fact, but as rain. The brain, that shimmering garden of thoughts and dreams, doesn't grow from pressure. It blossoms in this mist, this steady, soft nourishment of the unknown becoming known. Every drop, a discovery. Every droplet, a new neuron lighting up, forming connections with the quiet persistence of water seeking its way downhill. Imagine it. Each time you wonder, each time you notice, each time you pause in awe, a drop falls. One droplet may seem small, forgettable, but over time, rain becomes river. It cuts through the land. It reshapes valleys. So too, each piece of knowledge gently carves its shape into the folds of your mind. You remember your first question. Maybe you were a child, or maybe you were still asking, why is the sky blue? Why do leaves fall? How does a bird know how to fly? These are raindrops too, carried by curiosity, and each answer, whether whispered by a teacher, found in a book, or discovered by looking long enough, soaked into your soil. And something grew. Inside your brain, billions of neurons stretch and branch like trees in spring. They reach for each other, forming tiny connections called synapses, bridges where ideas meet. With each new droplet of understanding, these connections grow stronger, richer, more stable, like roots weaving deeper with each gentle shower. At first, new ideas feel slippery, like water on a leaf, there and then gone. You hear something and it vanishes. But if the rain continues, if the thought returns again and again, the surface changes. It softens. It welcomes. And soon, the droplet sinks in. This is what learning is. Not instant knowing, but slow saturation. Even as you rest now, your brain remembers. While your body lies quiet, your mind rewinds, gently replaying what you've heard, what you've seen. It is as if the rain falls again in the dark, nourishing the soil of your sleep. You may not notice this. You may think nothing is happening, but within, the forest reshapes. Neurons fire in delicate patterns. Some connect, some disconnect. Paths are cleared, others are overgrown. A landscape of thought is always shifting, always responding to what you let in. And like any forest, your brain needs both sunlight and shade, both waking and rest. It learns in the light, but it grows in the dark. Now imagine water pooling in quiet places, little puddles of memory, pools of insight. These are the concepts you've held on to, the ones that return to you uninvited. Perhaps a poem you still remember, a tune you hum without knowing why, the shape of a number, the feel of a language that once felt foreign, now familiar. These pools are deeper than you think. They hold more than knowledge. They hold the feeling of learning, the joy of knowing, the echo of discovery. Sometimes you learn not from books or voices, but from silence, from watching the way shadows fall or the pattern in a leaf. Your brain is always listening, always learning, not just facts, but rhythm, movement, mood, meaning. Even now, as your eyes close, your ears still pick up soft sounds, the hum of the night, the slow breath beside you, the silence behind the silence. And your mind, in its quiet wisdom, stores it away. This is called implicit learning, the kind that happens without effort. like rain that falls on a sleeping forest, like dreams that teach without words. Neuroscientists have studied this. They've seen how the brain rewires itself not just in classrooms, but in kitchens, in hallways, in dreams. They've watched memories form as people walk through cities, listen to music, laugh with strangers. The brain absorbs what the heart notices. So be gentle with yourself. You are always learning, even when it feels like you're not. Even when all you do is rest and breathe. Learning doesn't rush. It returns. It repeats, like rain that comes again and again, until the land remembers. And sometimes, learning isn't about addition, but erosion. Unlearning something wrong. Letting go of an old idea. Changing shape, not by force, but by exposure to something true, again and again, until it carves a new path. That's why repetition matters. Not for memorizing, but for softening. Each time an idea returns, it reshapes your inner soil. You don't need to hold it all at once. Let the knowledge come like mist. Let it pass through you. Let it settle. Because your mind, even in stillness, is a landscape thirsty for rain. And every question you ask is a cloud forming. Every insight, a soft drop falling. Soon, you will dream. And even in dreaming, your brain will tend its garden. Quietly, faithfully. And when the morning comes, you'll find new ideas growing where you hadn't noticed before. But what if you've learned something painful? What if a thought hurts each time it returns? Can even that be reshaped by rain? Sometimes the hardest lessons grow the strongest roots. And in time, even sorrow can give way to something softer, something you might begin to release. Chapter 4. Unwiring the Old Echoes. Sometimes, you hear thoughts that feel like they were whispered long ago, not loud, not clear. Just a murmur beneath your breath, a memory, a moment, a worry once important. They echo quietly, asking to be noticed again. These echoes aren't bad. They're just traces, neural footprints left behind by what you once felt, thought, or feared. Your brain doesn't forget easily. It stores. It holds. Like old paths through a forest, they remain even after you've stopped walking them. Some are useful. A childhood song, the smell of rain, the feeling of safety in someone's arms. But others are weighty. Patterns you didn't choose. Beliefs you didn't plant. They were given to you, shaped by pain or repetition. These are the echoes we come to unlearn. Neuroplasticity tells us that the brain can change, and it also tells us what we don't use, we lose. Pathways that once roared with thought can grow silent. Synapses once strong can gently let go. Imagine walking through tall grass. Each step lays a trail. The more you walk it, the clearer it becomes. But if you stop, nature returns. The path fades. The brain works the same. What you stop feeding begins to soften. Letting go is not forceful. It isn't a battle that it's quiet. Kind.it begins by noticing what no longer serves you. And then, slowly, choosing something else instead. You don't have to shout over the echoes. You only need to whisper a new story, again and again, until the new voice becomes louder than the old. Maybe there is a thought that comes every day. I'm not enough. It's not your truth. It's just an echo, built from many yesterdays. Fed by repetition, but not unchangeable. When that thought arrives, you breathe. You see it, like a bird landing on a wire. You don't chase it, or hold it. You simply watch it, and let it fly away. This is how unwiring begins, with awareness, with pause, with choice. Your brain listens when you stop reacting. It learns when you stay gentle. Because reactions strengthen connections, that if you fear a thought, the brain marks it important. That if you respond with calm, the brain learns it's safe to let it pass. It adapts to your energy. You are the sculptor of your inner soundscape. Every day, you choose what to echo and what to fade. Old pains, old habits, old voices. They all soften when met with stillness, and the silence beneath them begins to hum again. There is science in this. Neural pruning is what researchers call it, and used connections gently snipped away like branches in winter, making room for spring. So imagine now a tree inside you, its branches once tangled with fear or shame. But now, one by one, the leaves fall, not all at once, just gently, with time. Each fall clears space. Each space allows light to reach something new. Neuroplasticity isn't only about growth, that it's also about letting go. You might feel grief in this release. That's okay. Even pain we outgrow can feel like part of us. But growth doesn't erase, it transforms. And transformation always begins with trust. Trust that change doesn't need to be fast. It only needs to be real. Every time you pause instead of reacting, a new path is born. A quieter, softer path. And as you keep walking this one, the old grows fainter, its voice loses power. Its pull weakens, not because you fought it, but because you no longer believed it. You chose presence over pattern. This is not erasing your past. This is learning that the past doesn't own your now. You are not what happened to you. You are what you continue to choose. Some echoes may return. That's natural, like old songs on a distant radio. But now, you don't need to sing along. You can smile and turn the volume down. Even the brain's oldest fears are not forever. They are plastic, pliable, like clay warmed in your hands. With breath, with kindness, with new thought, they reshape. You become something lighter. And slowly, you begin to hear something else. A gentler rhythm. A new echo forming. Not born from fear, but from care. It says, softly, you are safe now. Let that voice repeat. Let it root. Walk it like a new trail. Day after day, not with force, but with rhythm. And soon, the forest will change. Thoughts you used to fight will fall silent. Not gone, but no longer in charge. They are old leaves on new soil. They fertilize, but they do not define. This is how the mind heals itself, not through forgetting, but through rebecoming. You are not a prisoner of old wiring. You are the gardener of what remains. And when you rest tonight, know this, even in sleep, the echoes fade. Your brain reweaves itself in quiet. Old noise turns to silence. And from that silence, something new begins. A tiny rhythm, a hopeful spark, the faintest hum of something wanting to grow. A question, waiting in the stillness. What if you are already changing? Chapter 5, The Brain That Breaks to Bloom. There are moments in life when everything cracks, not with noise, but with a deep and private quiet, like a glacier shifting beneath a still surface. You feel it before you understand it. The sense that something inside you has been unstitched, loss, grief, fear, or the strange disorientation of change. Whatever the cause, the mind doesn't remain untouched. You have known these times. We all have. But here's something that might surprise you. Your brain is not breaking in these moments that IT is breaking open. Neuroscientists have studied trauma and stress not just as damage, but as gateways to adaptation. That they've seen that under emotional strain, parts of the brain don't merely shatter and stop. Instead, they light up, rewire, even regrow, like roots pushing through cracked concrete. Your mind searches for a new way forward. In fact, the very word neuroplasticity means just that: change, the ability to reshape, to reroute, to rebuild. This is not a metaphor. It is biology. Imagine a forest after fire. The trees are blackened. The air still carries ash, but underneath, the soil is rich with something new. Seeds that were waiting in silence begin to wake. Sunlight reaches places it couldn't before. This is what your brain does when pain moves through IT. IT doesn't erase what came before. It expands. New connections sprout where old ones fell away. Thoughts reroute. Habits shift. Even your sense of self becomes soft, ready to be shaped. There is a region deep in the brain called the hippocampus, a keeper of memory, a weaver of experience. Under stress, it can shrink, but with care, with time, with new patterns of thought, it grows again. Neurogenesis, the birth of new neurons, like saplings rising through the ash. Even the amygdala, the brain's alarm bell, doesn't ring forever. IT learns. It quiets. It adapts. You teach it safety by how you breathe, how you speak to yourself, how you sit with what hurts instead of running. Pain doesn't mean you are broken. IT means you are human. And to be human is to change. Your brain is always listening. IT listens when you cry, when you rest, when you tell yourself that you will try again tomorrow. IT listens when you choose to forgive, or to remember, or to stay. IT listens, and it rewires. Neural pathways aren't like highways made of steel. They are more like paths through a meadow. Walk them enough, and they grow strong. Abandon them, and they soften, grow over, return to earth. So when a storm comes and you feel lost, know this: the map inside your head is not fixed. You can redraw it. And sometimes, being shaken is what allows a new trail to appear. Scientists have even seen people recover from brain injury in unexpected ways. Other parts of the brain take over functions that were once lost. IT isn't the same, no, but it's still alive, still trying. That spirit of adaptation lives in you, too. Let yourself imagine this. Inside your head, quiet fireworks of change, tiny synapses reaching toward one another like fingertips in the dark. Every choice you make is a signal. Every gentle act is a spark. When you begin again, even if it's slow, even if it's quiet, your brain begins with you, not as a blank slate, but as a living field, full of history and hope. You are not just surviving, you are rerouting. There is something oddly beautiful about this truth. That pain, when held gently, becomes permission to see yourself differently, to believe in new strength, to soften where once you braced. There will still be days that ache, but beneath them, your brain is not sleeping. IT is tending the garden. It is whispering, grow. And as your mind reshapes itself, your view of the world often reshapes too. Colors return. Sounds feel different. Time feels slower or deeper. The science behind this isn't abstract. It's the delicate interplay between sensation and attention, emotion and memory. There are names for this: post-traumatic growth, adaptive rewiring, resilience. But you don't need the names to feel it. You only need to notice that you're still here, still learning, still open. What once felt like an end becomes a bend in the road. What once felt like ruin becomes fertile ground. You are not who you were before the storm, but that doesn't mean you are less. You are simply more aware, more awake, more tender in the places that cracked. And this tenderness is not weakness. It is the soft power of transformation. It is how the brain learns to bloom in its own time. So tonight, if you feel shaken, let that be okay. Let the soil settle. Let the ash cool. Something unseen is already reaching toward the light. And just beyond the bend, another truth waits quietly. That connection to others, to love, to empathy will become your next teacher. Shall we go there together? Chapter 6, Mirror Neurons and the Dance of Connection. You sit in stillness, and yet you move. Not with your body, but with your mind's reflection. Someone laughs in another room, and your lips lift slightly, uninvited. You see a tear fall on a screen, and something soft stirs within you. These are not accidents. These are mirrors, tiny reflections folded inside your brain. Cells that fire not when you act, but when you witness. They light up not for your motion, but for the movement of others. These are mirror neurons, a quiet chorus of empathy. They sing in harmony with other minds. You see someone reach, and your brain rehearses reaching too. You hear sorrow, and your body prepares to cry. Some call this mimicry, others compassion. But really, it's biology humming through your skin. This is the science of connection, of shared rhythms, unspoken. In your skull lies a stage, and on it, dancers. Every gesture, every glance, becomes choreography. You may not move a muscle, but inside, you're dancing along. You become a shadow symphony of the world around you. A baby sees its mother smile, and neurons fire like tiny suns. A child hears laughter, and their brain joins the joy. Before words, before language, we learn by reflecting. We become who we watch. We absorb through stillness. It begins in infancy, but never truly ends. You lean toward warmth without knowing why. You flinch when someone stubs a toe, even from across the room. Your mirror neurons do not wait for your permission. They blur the line between self and other. They let you feel, not just think. They give you the gift of being moved, literally, neurologically moved, by what is not yours. This is empathy without effort, understanding without analysis. It may sound simple, but it is not small. Mirror neurons help you read emotions from the tiniest twitch. They let you live inside someone else's story, even briefly. They help you feel seen and help you see others. And though you may not always notice them, they're shaping how you respond, how you trust, how you love. You lean into kindness because you've seen it mirrored. You shrink from pain because you've watched it ripple. Even now, listening to this voice, your mirror neurons trace the rhythm of speech. Your mind joins the cadence, sways with the pauses. You are not just hearing, you are mirroring in silence. In this quiet communion, isolation softens. Because the brain is never entirely alone. It is wired to echo, to imitate, to blend. It builds bridges across breath, across silence, across species. A dog tilts its head at your laughter. A dolphin mimics your wave. Even between creatures, the mirroring continues. As if the universe itself prefers harmony. And in this harmony, something deeper happens. You begin to understand what cannot be spoken. You feel a friend's sadness before they speak. You sense joy in a stranger's eyes. You don't have to try to connect. You already are. Even behind screens, even across space, your brain listens. It senses tone, posture, energy. It builds invisible threads between you and the world. This is not a flaw. This is design. To be human is to reflect, to feel more than what touches you, to carry others inside your nervous system. But this also means you must be gentle, because you absorb more than you know. The moods around you, the tempers, the love, all find their way into you. Your brain records every dance. So be mindful of what you mirror. Notice what rhythms you're rehearsing. And if a pattern no longer brings peace, let your neurons rehearse something softer. Breathe in kindness. Observe calm. Let your mirror neurons learn new dances, slow, kind, generous ones. Because every repetition matters. And every mirrored moment becomes a memory. You are not just a mind. You are a reflection, a living echo of those around you. And in return, you become someone else's mirror. They see themselves in your eyes. As you rest now, let yourself reflect on what you've seen. Not just today, but in all your life. The teachers, the parents, the strangers on trains. Each one left a small imprint. Your mind is not a sealed vault. It's a flowing current, carrying stories, feelings, glimpses of others. This is how we grow beyond the skin. This is how your brain remembers that it is never truly alone. And maybe, just maybe, this dance of reflection holds a key. Because if one mind can feel another, then change, too, can ripple through connection. Perhaps, in the next quiet moment, your brain might mirror not just others, but healing itself in response to kindness. And what if, in rest, your neurons begin to rehearse not just what was, but what could be? Let's drift into that question. Let's visit the place where the brain rewires in stillness. Let's step into the night garden of your mind, where sleep is the silent sculptor. Chapter 7. Sleep, the silent sculptor. You lie down, and the world begins to blur. Not in a sudden drop, but in soft dissolving. Edges lose their sharpness. Sounds recede like low tide. The day folds itself into silence. You breathe. Sleep does not rush in. It arrives in layers. Like a painter brushing darker tones across a fading sky. The nervous system slows. Your heart softens its beat. And somewhere deep inside your skull, a quiet miracle begins. You think of sleep as stillness, but your brain is wide awake. Not in the way you know, not in thoughts or worries, but in work. Careful, quiet work. A sculptor in the dark. A gardener tending neurons by moonlight. During sleep, especially deep sleep, your brain clears debris. Tiny waste proteins that build up during the day. It washes them away through the glymphatic system, a river that only flows when you surrender to rest. This nighttime cleansing is vital. Without it, the mind clouds, not just with fatigue, but with fogged memory and dulled clarity. Sleep isn't passive. It's purifying, like rainfall on dusty leaves. You wake not just refreshed, but renewed. In REM sleep, your dreams flicker like strange movies. But inside, something deeper is happening. Your emotional memories are sorted, softened. The sting of fear, the weight of grief, the sharpness of joy, all refiled, all shaped into gentler forms. This is emotional alchemy, not forgetting, not erasing, but giving feelings new places to live, softer places. Sleep dissolves what hurts without making you numb. It lets you hold life with more grace. Synapses, those tiny connections between neurons, do not stay the same overnight. They shrink a little, not because they are breaking, but because they are pruning. Just like plants, your brain trims what it doesn't need. This synaptic downscaling resets the system. It keeps learning from overwhelming your circuits. You learn all day, but you refine at night. Without sleep, your brain is cluttered. With it, it's curated. Imagine a tree being gently trimmed at night. Branches too wild, leaves too tangled. Sleep is the quiet gardener, removing what no longer fits, leaving behind only what helps you grow. Your memories too are sorted. Important ones are tucked away, woven into stronger nets. Fragile thoughts get anchored. Others fade into mist. Your mind decides what to keep and what to let drift. Memory is not a vault. It is a living, changing garden. Sleep is how it breathes. And then there is dreaming. Strange, surreal, sometimes nonsensical. Yet even dreams have purpose. They simulate and rehearse. They let the mind play safely with risk, emotion, story. Dreams help you resolve what waking cannot. They unstick the stuck places. A dream can be a rehearsal for courage, or a mirror for pain, shown sideways, so you can finally look. When you are in deep sleep, your muscles go quiet. You are safe, still weightless. This pause is sacred. Here, your body repairs, cells rebuilding, hormones balancing. But your mind is not simply healing. It is reimagining. And that reimagining is neuroplasticity at work. Sleep doesn't just preserve change. It deepens it. The new neural pathways you began today are etched more deeply tonight. Without sleep, new habits fade. New thoughts dissolve. But with sleep, they grow roots. So when you rest, you are not doing nothing. You are letting your brain remember how to become. Even your sense of self is shaped in the dark. Who you think you are gets gently softened. The rigid parts become porous. The sharp edges blur into something kinder. You wake up not just rested, but reshaped. Slightly altered. Slightly more you. This is why sleep after learning is so vital. It is why rest after heartbreak matters. It is why sleep before a big day isn't laziness. It's rehearsal. It's memory. It's healing. The silent sculptor works best when you surrender. No need to try. No need to force. Just breathing. Just drifting. The stars outside your window stay the same. But inside, constellations shift. Not in light, but in pattern. Not in sound, but in silence. And as you lie here now, your body warm and your mind slow, this work is already beginning. Your thoughts settle like snowflakes, and your brain, like an artist, begins to trace new lines. Let yourself be changed gently. Let yourself dissolve into this sleep. Let the sculptor do its sacred work. And as the branches are pruned and the memories tended, perhaps something new will grow tomorrow. Something you haven't yet imagined. And if the brain sculpts itself in sleep, what, then, does it become when shaped by others? What quiet dances happen when two minds meet? Let us now drift into the mirror of connection, into the next breath of becoming. Chapter 8. Thoughts that change the body. It begins with a breath you didn't notice. You're lying still, the room dim, the air quiet. There's nothing urgent here, nothing loud. Yet somewhere beneath your skin, something listens. A single thought, small and silent, arrives like a ripple in a pond. and your body listens. You think of something kind, something warm. Maybe it's a memory, a soft voice, a tree at sunset, and before you even realize it, your shoulders loosen. Your jaw unclenches. The muscles behind your eyes release their grip. That's the power of a thought, not a shout, but a whisper that touches every cell. Your brain is a storyteller, not just for the mind, but for the entire body. It speaks in signals, electrical and chemical, weaving invisible threads between what you imagine and what you feel. A single worry can tighten your chest. A hopeful image can slow your heartbeat. This is not magic, it's biology. It's the way neurons in your head speak to the nerves in your spine, the hormones in your blood, the rhythms of your breath. This dialogue has a name, the mind-body connection, but you don't need the term to know it. You've lived it. You've felt your heart quicken when you heard your name in the dark. You felt warmth bloom in your chest when someone smiled at you with love. You've trembled with joy, or grief, or relief. Every emotion leaves fingerprints on your body, and every bodily state can echo back into thought. The loop never ends. Your body is not a passenger, it's a partner. Scientists once believed that the brain simply gave commands, like a conductor. Now we know it listens, too. The heart sends signals upward. The gut speaks its own language. Muscles remember. Skin responds. You are not a brain in a jar. You are an orchestra, every instrument tuned to every thought. Think of a time you felt calm. Maybe it was lying in grass or floating in warm water. Maybe it was holding someone's hand. What did your body do? Your breathing slowed. Your limbs softened. Your heart kept rhythm with your peace. The story in your brain had a plot of safety, and your body became the setting. This is not just emotional. It's measurable. When you imagine running, the motor parts of your brain light up, just like when you actually run. When you imagine kindness, your body releases oxytocin, the hormone of trust. And when you replay painful memories, your stress hormones rise, as though it's all happening again. The body doesn't always know the difference between thought and reality. And that's both a risk and a gift, because it means you can practice calm. You can imagine ease. You can tell your brain a gentle story, and your body will start to believe it. This is the basis of many healing traditions, from meditation to visualization to breath work. When you breathe slowly, you're not just relaxing. You're giving your body new instructions. You're shifting gears. You're creating a different chemical climate. A deep breath slows your heart. That slower beat tells your brain, we are safe now. And your brain agrees, lowering the alarms, softening the tension. It's a beautiful feedback loop, one you can enter at any moment. Not with force, not with effort, but with a soft return to awareness. Try now if you like. Close your eyes. Let your attention drift to your chest. Feel it rise. Feel it fall. Don't change anything yet. Just notice. Your breath is an anchor, and you are not lost. Now imagine light. Not harsh light, but moonlight or candlelight. Something gentle and warm. Picture it spreading through your body like a quiet tide. Into your neck, your shoulders, your back. You are lighting your inner sky. Thought alone is not a cure, but it is a beginning. When you treat your thoughts like tools instead of enemies, you begin to build something. Not control, but cooperation. Not denial, but compassion. Your body isn't wrong when it tightens, when it aches, when it flinches. It is trying to protect you. It is listening to old stories. But you can speak to it now. Gently, consistently, with the kindness of someone who knows that change is possible, but it takes time. Every calm thought you hold is a rehearsal, a slow rehearsal for a different state. And over time, like water wearing down stone, your body learns a new pattern, one where tension has an end, one where peace is remembered, one where the mind doesn't shout, but hums. And the body, in turn, sings back. Sometimes it takes just one image, a wide sky, a soft field, the sound of rain. The brain, ever responsive, ever dreaming, takes these signals and turns them into chemistry. The cortisol fades, the muscles soften, blood flows freely again. It's subtle, but real. Even your immune system listens. Your cells respond differently when your mind is at ease. Wounds heal faster. Inflammation lessens. Resilience grows. The science is still young, but the pattern is clear. The body thrives in peace. And peace begins in thought. This is not to say that all healing is just thinking, but thinking can be part of healing. Just as breath can be part of healing. Just as stillness can be part of healing. Just as sleep, the quiet sculptor, smooths the edges of each day. And here you are now, held by the dark, softened by quiet. Thought by thought, you are changing your inner world. Not with control, but with presence. Let your next thought be light. Let your body feel it. Let yourself believe that even stillness is an action. Because it is. Because even as you lie here, calm and slow, your brain is reaching inward, whispering gentle truths to your spine, your chest, your heart. And tomorrow, your body will remember this soft conversation. And just as the body listens to the mind, too, is shaped by where your attention goes. So what happens when you choose to focus? What grows when light returns again and again to the same thought? That's the journey waiting in the next chapter. That's the secret of focus, the light that grows things. Chapter 9. Focus, the light that grows things. Focus is not a force. It is a softness, a glow. Like the gentle warmth that breaks through morning fog. It doesn't demand attention. It invites it. You are lying still. Your breath is slow. Your eyelids heavy. Around you, the room holds its quiet. But within, your mind is still gently moving. Not rushing. Just drifting like light wind over tall grass. And here, in this quiet field of thought, focus begins. Think of a single beam of sunlight slipping through a canopy. One leaf catches its warmth. That leaf grows a little brighter, a little stronger. The other leaves, still beautiful, remain in shade. This is how focus works in the brain. Whatever you notice begins to change. Neurons fire together. Patterns repeat. With time and care, these circuits deepen. Attention is what decides which ideas are watered, which memories are reinforced, which habits are repeated. You may think of focus as something tight, something hard, like concentration under pressure. But real focus, the kind that gently shapes your mind, is slow and wide. It's the softness of curiosity, not the strain of control. Imagine your thoughts as seeds in a vast garden. Every time you return to one, you water it. And like a tender shoot bending toward light, it begins to grow. Even fleeting attention leaves behind a trace. Science calls this process selective attention. Your brain can't process everything at once. So it highlights, filters, prioritizes. What you notice becomes what you remember. What you return to becomes what you learn. It is not your eyes that choose, it's your mind's quiet reaching. You once thought of daydreaming as distraction, but even drifting thought has meaning. Your default mode network, the region of your brain that activates when you seem to do nothing, is quietly mapping, weaving, restoring. In those moments between effort, your brain still chooses, still grows. Consider this. When you learn something new, your brain doesn't just absorb it. It decides whether to keep it. If your focus touches it again, with repetition, with curiosity, that circuit strengthens. Dendrites branch. Synapses spark more easily. It becomes easier the next time. Focus makes the unfamiliar familiar. And the more emotion wrapped around your attention, the deeper it goes. Focus, when paired with meaning, creates lasting change. The brain doesn't just store facts. It remembers feelings, context, stories. That's why a single line of a song can bring back a whole year. You may wonder why some things are easier to focus on than others. The brain is drawn to novelty, yes, but also to resonance. When something matters to you, when it connects with something deeper, focus comes naturally. The circuit opens. The light pours in. But like sunlight, focus moves. You can't force it to stay. It shifts, fades, returns. This isn't failure. It's nature. Your attention is rhythmic. Ultradian rhythms in your brain ebb and flow every 90 minutes or so. Like waves lapping the shore, your mental clarity rises and recedes. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. And just as a gardener doesn't pull on the stem to make it grow, you don't need to force your focus. You simply return, gently, patiently, over and over. When you meditate, you are training this return. Breath after breath, thought after thought, you learn to notice where your light goes. And when it wanders, you don't scold it, you guide it back. This practice changes your brain. It reshapes the prefrontal cortex, thickens gray matter, calms the amygdala. Focus becomes easier not because you try harder, but because you practice returning. Neuroplasticity thrives on this kind of gentle repetition. The more you notice what you want to grow, the more it grows. This is true for learning languages, for breaking habits, for healing grief. Attention is your compass, your garden, your power. Imagine now a tiny flicker of light in the dark. Your awareness. You choose to shine it on gratitude, on calm, on beauty. And slowly, those things grow. Not overnight, but certainly, surely, inevitably. Just like muscles grow with movement, attention builds strength with stillness. It is not what you force that changes you. It is what you return to again and again. The wandering mind is not the enemy of focus. It is the terrain. Your thoughts are not flaws. They are signals. Each time your attention drifts, it tells you something. And when you notice without judgment, you learn to steer. Think of a lighthouse turning slowly in the fog. Each pass brings a brief, soft glow. You don't need to see everything at once. You just need to keep turning. Keep noticing. Keep returning. Focus can feel like peace. Not because the world is quiet, but because you are. Within the storm, you find the still point. And from that stillness, change begins. Right now, even as your body rests, your brain is listening. It is choosing. It is growing. The spotlight of your awareness is shaping neural fields. Quietly, patiently, without you needing to try. So tonight, choose gently. Let your last thought be one of warmth. A memory you want to keep. A feeling you want to grow. You don't need to hold it tightly. Just place your light there and let it rest. And as your thoughts soften into mist, you may wonder, if repetition and return shape the mind, what quiet rituals might become who you are next? Chapter 10. Repetition and the Ritual of Becoming. You don't change in a flash. You unfold. It happens so slowly you hardly notice. Like the tide smoothing a jagged rock. Like wind carving the curves of a canyon over centuries. You, too, are being shaped. Every morning you wake up, brush your teeth, drink a glass of water. Maybe you sit for a moment in silence, or scroll through your phone, or pet the cat. These moments are quiet, repetitive, unremarkable, but each one is a brushstroke on the canvas of who you are becoming. The brain doesn't speak in sudden leaps. It speaks in patterns. When you repeat a thought, it strengthens a pathway. When you repeat an action, it builds a habit. Neurons fire together. Then, with time, they wire together. This is Hebb's rule. Simple, true, elegant. You think of kindness each morning. The brain says, let's make this easier. You move your body every day. The brain says, let's make this smoother. You worry about the same fear each night. The brain says, let's make this louder. Your brain doesn't judge what you repeat. It simply listens and adapts. There's beauty in this, and responsibility, because the smallest ritual, done daily, becomes a part of your architecture, like a path cleared by footsteps in soft grass. One step is nothing. 1,000 makes a trail. So when you repeat something, you're not just doing it. You're becoming it. Repetition is how music becomes memory. It's how a piano player's fingers learn to dance. It's how you memorize a phone number or feel peace when you light a candle. Repetition isn't mindless. It's how the mind finds its rhythm. In this rhythm, the brain builds myelin, insulation for your nerves. Each time you repeat a skill, your brain wraps the circuit in another layer. It protects it, speeds it, makes it last. And so, the things you do often become the things you do easily. And the things you do easily become the things you identify with. This is the ritual of becoming. You don't wake up as a new person one day. You drift there, gently, through your habits. Consider the tea you brew at night, the book you read, the breath you take before sleep. These are not filler moments. They are anchors. They are neuroplastic anchors that calm the nervous system. And that's no small thing, because the nervous system listens to patterns. It listens to what is repeated. You are always teaching it, even in silence. Think of the monk who sweeps the temple floor every morning, not because the floor is dirty, but because the motion centers him. Think of the artist who sketches the same tree for 10 years, not because she needs more drawings, but because the practice deepens her seeing. These rituals are not dramatic. They are not loud, but they are life-changing. Because when you build a life of meaningful repetition, you build a brain that expects meaning. And when your brain expects meaning, it begins to find it in more places. In the steam of the kettle, in the shadows of leaves against your wall, in the curve of your partner's handwriting. A ritual doesn't need to be big to be sacred. It needs to be yours, and it needs to be repeated. The brain responds to rhythm. It entrains to breath, to music, to light. Even your circadian clock is a rhythm tuned by repetition. Wake, eat, move, rest, sleep. Each loop strengthens your sense of self, of balance. Neurons align. Hormones sync. Heart rate steadies. The body follows what the brain rehearses. And when something disrupts the rhythm, you feel it, like a skipped beat in a song you love. But you can return. You always can. The brain is patient. It welcomes your rituals back like old friends, even after long absence. So if you forgot your breath today, return to it tomorrow. If you skipped your stillness, light it again tonight. Nothing is broken, only paused. And each repetition begins the becoming again. What if you choose now? What if you decide that every morning you will greet yourself gently? That every night you will thank your body for all it did? That you will read one paragraph of wonder or close your eyes for 60 seconds of stillness? These are not goals. They are doors. Doors the brain will learn to expect and protect and love. You don't need to force change. You only need to invite it and repeat the invitation. You don't need to become someone new overnight. You only need to become someone slightly different over and over, until one day you wake up and realize that the trail you walk each day has become a part of you, and the wind that shaped you has done so softly with your help. Repeat, breathe, grow. This is not a loop. It is a spiral. It rises with each pass, and with every pass, you notice more. You become more. You are the ritual, and the ritual is you. Now, as the light softens and your mind quiets, ask gently, if repetition rewires the brain, then how might sleep? This daily, mysterious return to stillness. Reshape what you carry inside. Let's drift there next, into the quiet power of slumber. Chapter 11. The Plastic Brain at Any Age. You are not a finished painting, not a final version, not a closing chapter. Even now, you are soft clay, still warm, still malleable in the gentle hands of time. The stories you've lived do not harden you. They shape you. Yes, but shaping is not the same as sealing. Deep within you, something still rearranges. You may feel the years in your bones, but your brain? It still blooms in secret ways. Science once believed that the brain stopped growing, that after childhood, its pathways were fixed like the grooves on a record. But that belief has faded like old chalk from a blackboard. Because in quiet labs and curious studies, a new truth emerged. The brain never stops adapting. This is neuroplasticity. It sounds like a machine word, but it means something soft. It means your mind is a garden that keeps growing, even after many seasons have passed. Neurons reach for each other like vines towards sunlight. Synapses strengthen. Networks change. And yes, this happens even in an aging brain. You are still learning, even when you forget. You are still growing, even when you're tired. The brain is a landscape of movement, not a monument of stone. Let's imagine your thoughts as rivers. Over the years, some have grown wide and deep. Habits, patterns, beliefs. These old rivers are familiar and easy to follow. But the earth shifts, and even ancient rivers can find new bends. That's what neuroplasticity gives you, the ability to reroute. You might notice it subtly, a new way of solving a problem, a surprising idea that feels unlike your usual self. A gentle loosening of something that used to feel so rigid. These are signs, not loud ones, but real, and science confirms them. In one study, older adults practiced juggling, a simple task of rhythm and focus. And within weeks, brain scans showed new growth in regions tied to motion and coordination. Not children, not teenagers, adults well into their later years, practicing, adapting, changing. In another, elderly patients began to meditate, just a few minutes each day. And over time, researchers saw structural changes in areas tied to emotion regulation and memory, as if calm itself was building scaffolding. This is the truth you are invited to carry gently. The brain does not stop building just because the body slows. Yes, the pace changes, like a river in winter, but the flow remains. Plasticity in older brains may be quieter, slower, more deliberate, but it is not gone. If anything, it becomes more refined, less reactive, more selective, like an artist who has painted for decades and now knows exactly where to place the next brushstroke. And here's something beautiful. Older brains often show what scientists call bilateral activation. This means they use both hemispheres for tasks that younger brains might delegate to just one side. It's like both hands joining together to hold a fragile object, a kind of wisdom woven into the very wiring. You are adapting even as you reflect. You might be healing from grief, or learning to live slower, or seeing familiar things in unfamiliar light. These, too, are forms of neural change, soft rewiring, quiet revolutions. And if you've ever felt yourself become more compassionate with time, less quick to judge, more able to listen, that, too, may be neuroplasticity in motion. The prefrontal cortex and limbic system shifting, learning to soothe instead of spark. So don't let the mirror fool you. You are not behind the curve. You are still in the current. The very act of reading this, of reflecting with me in this quiet space, this is learning. This is shaping. Because plasticity isn't about youth. It's about repetition, attention, and belief. It's about knowing you can choose a new response, a new story, a new shape to take. Even a single decision to think differently lights up new circuits. Even imagining a better future begins to lay down a trail. The soil of your brain still welcomes new roots. And what a gift that is. So let's pause together in this forest of thought. Feel the softness of the earth beneath you. Not everything is lost to time. Much is gained. And what you practice now, kindness, focus, gratitude, calm, these, too, are habits that form paths. Paths that your brain will come to prefer. Neuroplasticity means your brain is listening. It listens to where you place your attention, to what you repeat, to what you linger on, even in silence. It listens and it changes. And as you age, perhaps what you most long to learn isn't facts or figures, but how to feel more alive inside your own quiet mind. And that, too, can be learned. You are not a rigid sculpture. You are a moving song. You are a tide that shifts. You are a sky still rearranging its stars. The years behind you are not walls. They are winds. Let them carry you. Let them shape you with grace. And as you drift toward rest tonight, remember this. Your brain still holds open doors. You can still become. You always could. And now, in this quiet hour of knowing, you may wonder, if change is always possible, then who do you become through what you repeat? Let's walk there, together, toward the gentle rhythm of becoming. Chapter 12, Becoming the Mind You Choose. There is a quiet moment between waking and sleeping, a gentle breath where the world pauses, and in that hush, you remember, you are still becoming. Your brain is not fixed. It does not harden with time like stone. It shifts like wind-blown sand, like the slow curl of water across earth. Each thought is a ripple, each feeling a current, You are more fluid than you realize. There is no final version of you waiting to be found. Only the version you shape, one soft impression at a time. Your neural pathways, those glowing trails of light inside your skull, are alive with possibility, bending subtly with every new choice. You are not stuck with the patterns you've inherited. They may be familiar, but familiarity is not fate. Even deep habits are just well-worn trails, and trails, even the oldest, can grow wild again. You may have learned fear, or urgency, or self-doubt, but you can also unlearn. You can teach your brain trust, or stillness, or the spaciousness of curiosity. Rewiring happens gently, like tracing your finger over the same path until the groove forms anew. Tonight, you hold the brush, your attention is paint, and your thoughts are color. What will you create on the canvas of your mind? Will you draw a place of calm, a garden where your worries become soil, and your breath is the sun? Will you plant the seed of a thought that says, I am still growing? Even one tender thought, returned to again and again, becomes a garden wall. Your neurons listen. They don't judge. They do not ask whether a thought is good or bad. They only follow what you repeat. Repetition becomes identity. You are the sum of what you return to. Return to wonder, and wonder deepens. Return to compassion, and compassion blooms. Return to silence, and silence grows wide and steady. You can think of yourself as clay, soft, responsive, able to be molded, but also as the sculptor, the one with hands gently shaping. You can smooth out the rough parts. You can redefine edges once held too tightly. And on the days you feel broken, even cracks let in light. Some parts may fall away, but what remains is yours to design. The pieces are not lost. They are rearranged. There is no single destination, no final version of success. The brain keeps adapting. The self keeps evolving. Give yourself permission to move in spirals, not lines. Progress is a spiral. Learning is a loop. Each time you revisit an old fear with a new lens, you reshape it. Each time you meet discomfort with care instead of avoidance, you carve a new circuit, a new response, like carving soft grooves in clay with patient fingers. Even if you can't feel the change, it is happening. Invisible, silent, but real. Neurons fire, then wire. And wire again and again. Sometimes, the mind feels like fog, like nothing is clear or sharp. But even in fog, the landscape is still shifting, and fog always clears in time. You do not have to force change. You only need to return. Return to the thoughts that bring light. Return to the feelings that make you feel whole. Your imagination is not pretend. It is a rehearsal space. Each imagined action, each envisioned future sparks real activity in your brain. What you dream, you begin to believe. You are not a prisoner of your past. You are a river shaped by the banks, yes, but also shaping the banks in return. You are the water, the bedrock, and the tide. So tonight, choose a thought worth repeating, not a perfect one, not a loud one, just one that feels like truth without force. Hold it gently. Whisper it inside your breath. Say, I am still becoming. Say, this thought is the beginning of a new trail. Say, I am both map and traveler. And tomorrow, when the sun rises, your brain will be slightly different, not in a way you can measure, but in a way that matters. You do not need to become someone else. You only need to become more of what is real inside you. More kindness, more curiosity, more breath between your thoughts. The mind is not a problem to fix. It is a sky to observe. Let your thoughts pass like soft clouds. Let your beliefs change like weather. And when the storm comes, let it come. Because even storms teach shape. They loosen the soil. They clear the air. They open space for what comes next. You are allowed to change. You are built to. And every night, you become the mind you choose. Now, as your breath slows, as the night leans in and wraps you in stillness, ask gently, if I can shape my mind, what else might I choose to become? Perhaps, in the softness of this next sleep, you will dream the answer. And now, you rest. Your breath slow. Your thoughts softer. The universe has whispered its stories, and your mind has listened with wonder. Tonight, you traveled across galaxies and inside cells. You floated through time, touched gravity's curve, and discovered that the most extraordinary world lives quietly inside you. There is no rush here, no questions demanding answers, only a quiet unfolding, like stars blooming behind your eyelids. Let your body sink. Let your dreams rise. Let the science settle into your soul like stardust on still water. You are safe. You are timeless. And tomorrow, curiosity will wake with you, gently, like morning light. Sleep now, voyager of thought. We'll meet again, where the mind meets the sky. Good night.